Jump calculations haven't finished yet. We might not
give a damn. Just do it. Jump now. Now, damn it, now.
Jumping in 3, 2, 1. Jump control, we made it. En route to reactor core 5.
This jump's been hit.
Brace for impact!
Mayday, we're going down.
This is McAllen. Hang on. I'm on my way.
We're getting off this hill! Come with me! Holy shit, it's McAllen! Move out and secure the hard points!
Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today Titanfall has launched. It is available to play online, and that intro sequence was just some of the multiplayer intro that you get when you're playing the campaign mode. It's a pretty awesome intro, and it certainly gets me pumped up to fight, and I actually found myself being more inspired to try and win the game and play the objectives when there is a deeper story involved behind what's going on each map. Now, because Titanfall has a strong sci-fi core, we aren't limited to just Earthbound maps. So we've got different planets here. Some of these planets have crazy wildlife like massive pterodactyl-like creatures that'll come flying down, and they'll swoop up and pick off some of the NPC characters running around beside you, which is really cool to see. There's giant dinosaurs in the background sometimes, and even sometimes you'll have some big super carriers flying overhead that you can take off based on the objectives of the mission that you're playing. And if you complete them, you know, the carrier will get taken down and it'll crash in the background, and there'll be massive explosions that just shakes everything around you, and you really feel like you're accomplishing these goals. Respawn Entertainment has done an excellent job of integrating the story to the multiplayer aspect of the game, more so than I've seen any other game do. Pilot combat is very engaging and has a lot of variety to it, depending on if you want to run stealth with a shotgun, with a smart pistol, if you want to try and be a sniper. While running and while jumping has a huge skill level to it, because the better you are at it, the faster you can get around the map, the higher the locations you can get to, and basically running away from your enemies, which is a very important part of this game, or tricking them or juicing them by like sticking your knife into the wall and hanging on a wall as somebody comes around the corner. These are all elements of wall jumping and wall running that you really need to master to become better at combat in this game, and I love games that have high skill levels. And of course, there are a few things that are going to aggravate most people when first joining the game. Stealth combat can be a little tricky to get used to, especially when somebody's running around completely cloaked and they're shooting you with a smart pistol or a shotgun. That can always be an aggravating moment when somebody just pops out of nowhere and blasts your face off with a shotgun and you just weren't ready for it. But it really just teaches you to keep your eyes peeled for people running around in stealth. And I've been having a little fun with the new DMR that I unlocked. There's a lot of cool weapon variety here, like if you don't want to go full-on sniper, which I'll admit I've had some problems using the higher magnification snipers, the DMR seems to work out really well for me. It can kill people from far range. If you're good enough with it, you can certainly take them out in medium range. Now, aside from the fact that the maps are all really visually interesting and visually appealing, they also offer a really good variety of different types of gameplay. Shotgun is a great gun, it's a lot of fun, but it's not going to work on every map. This DMR is great for longer range maps, but in close quarters it certainly suffers. So depending on the map, you're really going to want to utilize your pilot loadouts. Now, you can get up to, I believe, 5 different custom pilot loadouts, and that'll really allow you to just kind of experiment around with different classes and really get something that's going to work well for pretty much every single kind of play situation you can think of. And right there, you just saw me throw down a satchel charge, which is a great way to just take out massive amounts of bots, players, or even deal some good damage to Titans if you're tired of using your anti-Titan weapon, as you will quickly find out that going up against a Titan with your dinky little rocket launcher can often be a really bad idea. I mean, it's definitely helpful to try and help out a friendly Titan win a Titan battle, but going one-on-one with a Titan with a little rocket launcher is really hard to do, especially a good Titan pilot. They're quick, they got guns that can kill you in one shot or just a few shots very quickly, and you really got to work together together to take them down. That's one thing that's very frightening in this game. If one team gets on a roll and they got like 4 or 5 Titans out at a time and you have 1 or 2, it can be really hard to try and get the map back from them. They can pretty much run around and just dominate everyone. Now the transition of pilot combat to Titan combat is very drastic because pilot combat is extremely skill based. If you're a really good pilot, you can take on the whole team, assuming you're doing it right. You can take on 3 pilots at a time. You can jab your knife into a wall, go into stealth, pick off guys as they come running around the corner looking for you. There's a lot of really cool tricks that you can pull off and take them down. You can also kill them within half a second. That's one of the differences of pilot combat. With Titan combat, you're not going to just sneak up on a fully armored Titan and just take it out because he wasn't ready for you. You're going to put some rounds into him, he's going to turn around and put some rounds into you. So it's going to turn into a slugfest real fast, and that's one of the things you just got to get used to. 2v1, 3v1, very hard situations to win in a Titan. And I found myself really enjoying the pilot combat a lot more than the Titan combat. I find myself doing really good in Titans, but I also don't feel like the gameplay is as interesting as pilot combat for me personally. And I understand the community's desire for a pilot-only mode. I was also kind of hoping that perhaps Titans would be harder to get, as it seems like you get them very quickly, everybody gets them all at once, and then for the rest of the game, other than the first few minutes that you're playing, there's always giant robots that you have to watch out for. And in the beginning of the round, I find myself enjoying the game the most because I'm just shooting other pilots and really having a lot of fun with trying to trick out other pilots and doing all this wall jumping, crazy parkour combat. But I do believe Respawn Entertainment is looking into the idea of doing a pilot-only mode for Titanfall, and I think that could actually be a really big hit. Graphically, Titanfall is still pretty impressive. It's definitely not going to compete with something like Battlefield 4 in terms of graphics, but what it does really well is detail. You'll go through every single map and find these really intricate, really detailed machines and interiors of buildings that not a lot of other games are actually able to do. And there's also a lot of interiors in Titanfall, tons of tiny little details, so they've really gone ballistic with the poly count here, but the textures and lighting certainly don't really match up to some of the bigger titles. And that's of course due to the fact that it's running on an older engine, but I can't fault Respawn for this because it's a very stable engine. It's an engine that's known for hosting some of the best multiplayer shooters of all time and having some great netcode. As far as making shooter comparisons, there are without a doubt a lot of similarities to the pacing of the Call of Duty games. Even some of the visuals remind me a lot of the Call of Duty games. The fact that it's very sci-fi, that there's wall jumping, that it's crazy parkour involved, definitely sets it apart and makes it its own IP without question. One of the only areas that I was a little bit disappointed in was basically the PC frame rate. I'm sure the game's been really well optimized on console. I did play it on console before and everything felt really solid. There were a few maps here where my frame rate really started to chug, and I'm using a pretty beefy SLI computer, so there really shouldn't be any of that, especially considering that it's the Source engine. I'm hoping that Respawn Entertainment definitely addresses the frame rate issues on the PC. Now, if you're still on the fence about whether or not to buy Titanfall, I can tell you that for me personally, it's a solid purchase. For a $60 price tag, this game is definitely action-packed and full of content. The fact that it doesn't have a traditional single player doesn't particularly bother me. It might bother you, but then again, the multiplayer campaign is really engaging and really enjoyable, especially when you're playing it through with some friends. I will certainly be playing a lot of Titanfall in the coming months. Whether or not I post it on this channel is really up to you guys. If you like this content, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's any specific guides or things you would like me to focus on. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.